And welcome to the Confound intro, where we talk about what we're going to talk about. I'm Steven Sturvin Michaels.
And I'm Chan the Man Miller.
And we're here to tell you that back in November of last year, our audio quality sucked. Bad.
We had a very small segment of where we were getting echo every time Steven talked.
And so we thought we would warn you that the coming up podcast that you're about to listen to was recorded during that time. And we thought about canning it, but we love these boys that we interviewed in Tempus. Not like boys, but, you know, like men. We love these men.
Rustic men.
Ben and Caleb Sosebee. Of Tempus. But we just wanted to throw that out there so you guys knew. No, we're not having any problems. No need to hit us up and let us know how weird the audio quality is. And honestly, it's not bad. It's listenable to. It's just not our standard quality that we've been releasing. And we just thought that we would throw that out. But enjoy this episode. I enjoyed recording it. I love the guys in Tempus, Ben and Caleb. They're two, I've known them since I was like 13. But remember, this week, they are recording an album, and it is not too late to donate. So find Tempus on Facebook or the Confound Millennial on Facebook, and there you can find links to where to donate on their GoFundMe so these boys can finish their first album and make it every bit as awesome as we know they can. Enjoy this episode. Hey guys, it's your boy. And welcome to the Confound Millennial, starring Steven Sturvin Michaels and featuring Caleb and Ben Sosebee of Tempus. Hey guys, what's up?
What's up, dude?
Hey, man.
It's great to have you guys in the studio. It's we've been talking about this for a while. It's been something we wanted to do back in season 1, but now here we are, season 2, 2020. Finally got you guys here, and I'm excited.
Super excited.
Yeah.
Very
Now,
happy to be here.
my regular fans might know Caleb as Caleb the Fat Pirate Sosebee, because he's a good buddy of mine. We've had him on before. Ben is a newcomer. He's walked into the studio, had no idea what he's getting into, so hopefully we can throw a few wrenches into his plans and catch him off guard, get some candid stuff out of him, you know?
Candid stuff is the
Candid
best
stuff.
Candid stuff is tight.
I was about to say that.
But, so, how are you guys doing? What's up with y'all?
Enjoying some Thanksgiving stuffing. Oh no!
Too soon.
I broke it. I'm sorry. I was thinking, well, I'm doing really good. I just made a bunch of food.
I'm so full, so fat.
You know, I just said 2020 too on
Yeah.
that. But yeah, so we recorded this back in Thanksgiving times. It's but we wanted to wait, release it in season 2 when we know what we're doing now.
So proud.
Back in season 1, we didn't really know what we're doing. We weren't really putting it out there as much as we are now. Season 1, we were just practicing. But now it's for real.
It's the real deal, and it's impressive. You've come a long way since your rock band microphone days.
Yeah, it's great. Started out with a rock band microphone. And I want to get to, I don't know, I got a bunch of questions for you guys. So I'm just going to jump into them. Unless you guys have anything you'd like to say.
No, let's...
Before I get started?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay. First, what is Tempus? Obviously a band. But what kind of music do you guys play?
It's sort of a progressive rock / metal. Fun stuff.
It's kind of somewhere between... It's like Dream Theater is probably the big prog band that everybody knows. And it's kind of like a not quite that complicated and technical and probably a little bit heavier. We have a lot of more modern metal elements. And then we have a lot of like old school thrash influence and elements as well.
Yeah.
You guys, now I haven't seen you guys play in a while, but you guys, last time I saw, were a 2-piece set, and you can still put on a heck of a show.
We pride ourselves in our abilities.
That's right. We that invisible bass player is working overtime.
Though y'all got, you have, now, so far you guys had been just instrumental, but you do have lyrics to your songs, right?
Yeah, so we've written one track so far that's meant to live and die as an instrumental. That's just how it was built. And then most of our other tunes are at least have full lyrics, melodies, or 90% are completed with the lyrics and melodies. Because the goal is not to stay an instrumental band, but we kind of had to choose whether or not to wait around till we got more people, or we could go ahead and start playing our shows and trying to get our name out there. So we just wanted to hit the stage.
Now, what you guys don't know is that, or don't know yet, is that I've already played a little bit of you guys' music, so the fans listening can go ahead and familiarize themselves with what you guys are talking about. Hopefully, I can get that from you guys, right?
Yes.
That's good.
If not, then it'd be very embarrassing that you just said the fans heard some of our music and all they got to hear was the stupid Confound intro.
Well, I asked you that before, and now I'm asking you again just to make sure. You never know with these band people. They're fickle. They go back and forth.
Fickle as a pickle.
So, tell us a little bit about yourselves. What led up to you guys deciding we're going to start this band, and we don't care if we got not the lyricist, the vocals. We don't care if we've got the bass yet. We don't care if we've got this. We're just going to jump into music and put ourselves out there. It's a very rare and bold move, in my opinion.
Thank you.
I
like being described as rare and bold. Well, we've been playing music together for a long time, starting out as kids, playing in bands at church, and then some projects with friends together, and then separately. And then I went off to school in Tennessee, and then Caleb moved to South Georgia. We didn't talk to each other for a couple of years.
That's right. Burned all the bridges.
That's right. And then
there can only be one.
There's always been jokes between our families about, hey, we should really start a band, when after good jam sessions or things like that. And then one time I texted Caleb that, and he said, okay.
Well, I had been, because Ben and I went our separate ways. He's a couple years older than me. He went to school. I didn't want to go to school, so I was just working and living in South Georgia at the time. And the band that I was playing with then just didn't seem to really be wanting to move past a weekend band and just, playing at bars and stuff. They didn't want to do their own thing. So I knew there was no future in it, and I'm always looking to find where my future music can be. And then Ben, and like he said, we always have joked about like, oh, we should start a band, we should start a band. And then he was kind of like, oh, we should start a band. And I was like, if you want to start a band, I'll move from South Georgia to Tennessee and happily start a band with you. And he was like, oh, okay. So I called his bluff, and we're a band now.
Yeah, exactly. I was surprised at first, but then I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then here we are.
Well, you guys mentioned your ages for a second there. I wanted to ask, I know now bands, it's a weird age that people start a band and start taking off. Now, Ben, you're a little old to be starting a band. And Caleb, you're about the right age.
Yeah,
So,
it's there's kind of like either two things happen. You either have, as far as like successful bands, you either have kids that got together in high school and then have been playing shows and touring ever since, or you have people that kind of in like their mid to late 20s, maybe early 30s.
That college age.
Yeah,
college
or post-college. Either they come out of college and they were in college together and they're like, oh, we should start a band, or they just kind of went their separate ways and then all just kind of as old people came together and did something successful.
Because it's like another band that we've had on, Capstan. They were telling me that they didn't even, or they all kind of knew each other through different ways, like a spider web of social connections, but they didn't form the band until after college. And they've all got degrees in different things, but they're all starting a band. But you actually, Ben, have a music degree, right?
That is correct. I have a bachelor's degree in music business.
So hopefully we don't suck.
Yeah.
Caleb, you're just writing that out, aren't you?
I am.
You're just hoping that he knows more than you do.
I point to Ben and say, this guy, he's got a degree. Me?
You carry the
I
things.
don't.
Something I should have brought up earlier as well. Now that I've gotten it out there that y'all are both Confound millennials, correct?
Millennial, yes. Confound, not quite as much. I'm good with my technology.
Okay.
But since I've been on your show, I guess technically I should probably.
Well, you see,
Out of
you
the
guys,
nature of the thing, fall in that category.
you guys were homeschooled, right? So that means you
Right.
weren't necessarily, you don't really fit in with the rest of the millennials. So you are, in my view of it, Confound millennials. A Confound millennial is somebody that doesn't really fit the mold of what an older person would be like. These Confound millennials.
It's true. And I still only have ideas of what high school was actually like from watching like 30-year-old Tobey Maguire drag around a food tray with a spider web attached. And I'm like, so everybody in high school is stupid.
And also 30 years old.
And 30 years old. Interesting.
And I would love to get talking about Spider-Man with you guys, because I just bought the last ones I needed to collect my complete Spider-Man movie collection,
Nice.
All the Spider-Mans.
including Into the
Spider-Man.
Spider-Verse.
Yes.
A good one.
So good.
A very good one.
But there's something I should have asked earlier on. What instruments do you guys play? We've been able to tell that you guys don't sing. You don't play the bass.
I'm so offended. Look here.
I play guitar pretty much exclusively. I've had piano lessons off and on, and then I took piano in college and did pretty well at that. But it's not something I play a whole lot, so pretty much just guitar for me.
I'm the drummer for Tempus. Drumming is my instrument of choice, but I, like Ben and everybody else in our family, I had a couple piano lessons as a kid as part of our kind of school stuff, and I tossed it out the window, wasn't a fan. Later on, I started wanting to getting into writing music, and it's hard to do that from just behind a drum kit. So I kind of relearned the piano stuff I knew and self-taught myself the rest of it, and self-taught myself a little bit of guitar stuff, just enough that I could get by with having an idea in my head and then trying to get it kind of into a recording solidified.
You guys could learn any other instrument. What would it be? I know you guys.
The vocal cords.
You guys can dabble.
I would like to learn how to play the vocal cords.
Don't we all, man? I wish I could. If I could, with all these mics I got here, I would already be one of the top singers in the world.
That's right. That's right.
Bass kazoo, maybe?
There's a couple instruments I've always wanted to play. Like, I've always wanted to learn how to play the violin or the cello because that takes a certain... Not only do you have to hit the note, you have to like hit the bow string just right. And it's so much more complicated than playing the piano or the drums or the guitar, because you can hit a note on a guitar and it might be the wrong note, but you can hit it. But on the cello or the violin, you might hit the wrong note or even hit the right note. But if you don't play the bow across the strings like in the correct just form, then it's going to sound awful. Either that, or I always wanted to learn how to play the bagpipes because the bagpipes just sound awesome.
We actually have had a guy, either, we've been talking to this guy about having him on the show for a while. His name's Daniel. Can't remember his last name. Wish I could, but
that's embarrassing.
it really is. But he plays the bagpipes with metal bands from time to time.
Nice.
So if you guys are ever in the need for a bagpipe player for a track,
what are they called? A bagpipist?
Bagpipist?
A bagpiper?
Bagpiper? I think it's
Bagpiper?
Bagpiper.
Yeah, bagpiper maybe.
Well, Daniel the bagpiper, we know you're listening and they want to do a track with you.
Would love it. So much bagpipes in my brain.
You can play that part on Mind's Eye.
Yes.
You guys...
We have parts you could play.
Wow, you already out there trying to collab with them. But you guys really come alive when you're on stage. For a 2-piece set, like I said when I saw you, you had people headbanging, you had people moving around. You guys were, even though there were heavier bands before, and, singers and frontmen that are all like, I want to see you guys, break this place into a million pieces. Like, I want to see you dismantle this establishment, light it on fire. Everybody was just kind of standing there. But you guys get up and you're like, hey, we ain't got any words, but you guys come take a journey with us. And people get into it.
Yeah, it's all about energy, man. And energy isn't necessarily just like us up there banging our heads and swinging our necks in circles. It's just energy through how you play your music, not just the energy that a song can have. Like you can have a fast song and then you can listen to it live and it just has no energy, it has no feel to it. Or you can listen to a good slow song live and just feel the energy and the power in it. And I think that's something that we do a good job of portraying through everything, is that we push the energy, whether with our bodies or with kind of the tones of how we play everything.
Yeah.
And that, as somebody that's been to a lot of concerts and seen a lot of bands, that almost can easily get you moving a lot more than just hearing somebody yell at you to start a mosh pit or a wall of death or something.
Yeah, and it really helps playing music that you really enjoy playing, and seeing something that you've worked on for a while sort of come alive, and then seeing people react to it, and then you feed off what their energy, and then that comes back to you, and then they feed off of that, and it's a wonderful cycle.
Yeah, it's a really cool cycle, because when you write something and then you go to perform it, like, you never perform a song that you hated when you wrote it, because we've all written things or recorded things or done things that we listen back and we're like, that sucks, never want to hear it again.
I know that feeling all too well.
I know the burned episodes of the Confound Millennial.
Well, I was talking about the short time that we tried to start a band.
We tried. We thought we had something.
We thought we had something, and then we realized our number one hit was just Polly by Nirvana with different lyrics.
It was still a beautiful tune. But, when because then you're performing something that you think is cool. And then when you think something's cool and it's your own creation and you see somebody in the audience just digging it, like they think what you made was cool, something you thought was cool, and it's just
success.
It's a crazy feeling there, and there's nothing like it. It's one of the best feelings.
I can't wait till you guys get to hear people singing your lyrics back to you.
That'll be one of the crazier things. Or I've thought like you're going through Guitar Center or something, and you're somebody noodling on a guitar, and they're like playing one of your riffs or something. You're like, wait a minute. Or if you're driving down the street and you got your window down, the person in the car next to you is like blaring one of your songs, and you're just like, weird. Like I always imagine those would be really cool moments when those happen. And especially like there's so many people that'll be like, oh, this band saved my life, or this band helped me get through a hard time. This band did that. Like, man, if somebody says that about something you do, like that's pretty much the highest praise that you can really get.
Like that's kind of why I started a podcast as well. Is not to get too much into me because I'm featuring you guys, but I went through a year where I didn't really talk to anybody, and podcasts were what kept me holding on. As I just kept listening to podcasts, Joe Rogan, Bertcast, and a bunch of comedians, and I wanted to put something out there that if there was somebody out there like me in a low spot, that they could just turn on the Confound Millennial and zone out for a minute and have a good time. Mm. And so I totally get what you're saying about like that day when somebody says like, your music like means this much to me. Mm-hmm. Like you guys are musicians, I'm a podcaster, but all of us are creators. Mm-hmm. We're content creators, and we're not doing this just to do it. Right. We're doing this because we got a reason. We think that what we've got will affect people's lives in an artistic and emotional way.
Preferably positive as well.
Positive. Yes. Positive way.
But yeah, I mean, very, very similar drives, even though what we do is very different, for sure.
Yeah.
And, it's funny, you guys get up on stage, you play, but I don't know about Ben, but I know, Caleb, you've mentioned before that, podcasting, getting out in there and talking is very difficult for you.
It's really weird because music has been my life as far as I can remember, just doing something that has to do with music, but never having to do with my voice because I'm not a singer. And I've never done an audiobook and I've never had my voice recorded and then just been released into the ether of the internet.
Even though both of you have dabbled in acting in your younger days.
Yeah, but stage acting's much different.
Yeah, it's I'm not a big fan of my voice, so I'm sure this will be fun to listen to, and I'll think poorly of myself. But I don't know, it's just different. It's good to put yourself in different situations that you're not as comfortable with because it helps you grow in different ways.
Confidence building and good for the soul.
Yeah. So you guys said that you're prog what again? I'm sorry.
Prog rock, prog metal.
Prog metal. I was trying to figure out whether it was rock or metal, but
it's somewhere in between. We have some songs that lean more towards a hard rock and some songs that are blatantly metal.
And it's to the point where you can kind of jive with whatever bands you happen to be playing with. It's not that you have a certain style of bands that you tour with, but you guys go on stage for, a variety of different kinds of sounds.
Yeah.
It's like you guys don't just play with the screamo people. You guys don't just play with, regular rock. You can do both. You can, like I said, you guys can get a crowd moving. You can do that at both shows. So,
yeah, I mean, it's been cool to see the different bills we've got thrown on over the past couple months of performing, just because no matter what kind of audience we were playing for, whether it was a really metalcore audience or more of a a rock and roll dancey polka, not polka,
Polka?
not polka, the spinning ball music, disco and polka, very similar. But even, or if it's a crowd like that, we everybody seems to enjoy what we do, and it's something also that, like, at least so far, my parents can listen to without getting a headache from all that screaming. They just sound angry. Yeah, it's nice to be able to kind of bridge the divide and be an in-between, because it leaves a lot of... Not only does it leave us open musically by not... Because once you're kind of like a metalcore band, you can't do anything outside of that with that band. Like, if, bands like As I Lay Dying or something wanted to do like a softer couple songs for an album or power ballads, people in the metalcore world would freak out and be like, no, you're a metalcore band, you have to do it this way. Or if a softer band wanted to write a heavier track or a more thrashy track, people are like, no, that's not your genre, stick to your genre. So since all our songs almost could fall into different like genres or subgenres of rock and metal, we haven't put limitations on what we write. So that means we can still write whatever we want, but also means we can appeal to a really wide variety of people.
It's kind of exciting to see what people will think of you, though, because like I'll give this band as like kind of a example here. Shinedown. Now y'all aren't really have much in common with them, but you think Shinedown and you've got a couple of songs.
Right.
You think of them as that genre of the couple of songs that they have. Mm-hmm. But if you listen to all their albums, every album is very different, with one or two songs that were released as singles that fall into... You could make one album out of their singles that would sound like what you think Shinedown does. But you could take any of their other songs, throw it into an album, and make another genre completely.
Right.
They don't really stay to one thing. They like experimenting. So it's fun thinking about what people will think of you. Like, out of your hits, which ones do you think will stick around that you've got right now?
Right. Or was that an actual question?
It didn't start as a question.
You rode the segue right into it.
It didn't start as a question.
I didn't hear the question.
It ended into one.
Right.
As far as like singles or songs that we think people are gonna love and be like, that's... Cause, for instance, like...
I'd say our most iconic one right now, and, in our stage... Iconic doesn't mean as much as it would to a different band, but our most iconic song is probably The Dark Tower, because it's long and it's got a lot of melodic parts in it, and some.
It honestly feels like when you guys play Dark Tower, you get out there and like take a journey with me to the Dark Tower. I feel like everybody should just close their eyes and just sit back and just.
That's essentially kind of how that song was written, the feel that song had, because I love songs that are like stories at the same time, just really story oriented songs that are still good standalone songs as themselves.
Now for me, when I listen to The Dark Tower, I always imagine like it just kind of builds a story on its own that you can kind of see playing out in your head, and it's something different with everybody, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. But with me, I'm imagining Roland from the Dark Tower series by Stephen King go through his journeys.
It's hard to not imagine that since it shares the same freaking name. Yeah. And in our defense, it's not written. It has nothing to do with the Stephen King series whatsoever. That's just...
Have you heard that before?
Well, I knew kind of as we were writing it that people were going to make that connection mentally. But I knew when writing it that there was no actual connection, but I didn't want to change the name of the song to like the spooky tower or the shady tower or that darkened building. Like none of those have a good ring to it. So
tall, darkened building.
Tall, darkened building.
Yeah, nothing captures the essence of what we were thinking like the Dark Tower.
Because, like, also, like, not only does the Dark Tower bring up in my mind, like, the Stephen King series, also I think of, like, Barad-dûr from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
The Tower in Mordor where Sauron was, like, just, I don't know. And then even when you're thinking about that, your mind automatically goes to adventure and big story and stuff just because.
So what was the conversation that happened, like, while you guys were writing the Dark Tower in specific? Like, what made you think, let's write a song where people can, just imagine this epic journey going on?
Well, like most of our songs, I don't think we have a single song where we had lyric ideas and then we said, let's write music. Most of our songs started off as music and then progressed. And essentially, we had written like 5 songs. And then I was like, let's write a long song. We don't have a long song. And let's make it like story-oriented. Let's make it an adventure. And we kind of just then went ham for a couple days or a couple writing sessions and just kept adding on and adding on.
Yeah, and then we sort of wrote the thematic elements that we wanted, and I don't know about for you, but for me, I could definitely see the journey that was going on through the music that we wrote, and then I wrote some lyrics for it, and then when it came time to finish writing the lyrics, it almost seemed like the map was already there in the music, and then we just described it with the words that we were.
It was almost like getting a coloring book, and the picture was already there. All you had to do was just choose what colors you wanted there, and then it would be completed. But we already had our pattern down. Even when we were writing, we didn't have a specific idea for what the lyrics would be and what the actual, like, who this character was, what the journey would be. But kind of through the writing process of the music, we learned what the journey was going to be. And then when we sat down to lyric it, it made sense to make, put these words here. And then obviously these words are going to go here. And this is going to happen at this point. And everything just made sense.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever thought, now this is just a random thought coming into my head, but have you guys ever thought of doing kind of like a apocalyptica thing where you guys don't really have a set singer, but you do features?
I've thought about it, but I don't think it would work, because one thing that I love about Apocalyptica is the fact that they do that. And some of my two favorite Apocalyptica songs are I Don't Care with the singer from 3 Days Grace.
Correct.
And then I'm Not Jesus with Corey Taylor. But the problem is, if I ever go see Apocalyptica live, there's an incredibly slim chance that Corey Taylor's going to be there to sing I'm Not Jesus, and I wouldn't want to hear anybody else sing that song.
Yeah,
I see that. Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Because I've thought about that, because we've had trouble finding more bandmates and stuff, and we have, backing guitar tracks and backing bass tracks. So, I mean, I'd love to find more musicians, but the musicians isn't the focus. It's getting the singer. And I was like, well, do we need a singer? Can we just have guest vocalists from different bands? But when somebody comes to a Tempus show, I want them to get like this Tempus experience, not like this is kind of what it sounded like on the album, but with a singer that's definitely sounds nothing like the actual singer from the album. Like, I want them to actually be able to hear it just as it sounds on the album, but just live.
Yeah, because I've seen a couple of bands play with whoever they had featured in their song, but that's so rare. Actually, they just happened to be playing the night before,
or they happened to be on tour together or something.
Yeah.
It's rare that people's schedules line up to the point where you can comfortably do something like that.
So where it sounds like a good idea, because the core of Tempus, you can tell already, is and always will be not the lyrics, but the instrumentals. And even though you do have lyrics, it's rare. A lot of bands, you just listen. A lot of people don't even listen to the instrumentals of music. It's the lyrics that reach out to people. Like I've already said, people can feel your music through the instrumentals.
That's one thing that was super important to me when we started writing, was I've always been so much more about the music than the vocals. I think it's all equally important. I think lyrics are as important as the notes. I think melodies are as important as the riffs. I think it all matters the same amount. But I think in today's world, there's too much of a focus on vocals and lyrics, and there's not enough quality backing music like there used to be. And as somebody that can't sing, I'm never going to make a living off of being a pretty vocalist. So I kind of have this like thing against vocalists because it's something I can't do, but they get all the credit and all they do is sing. Like they're not writing their own songs in the pop world today and stuff like that. So when we started writing as Tempus, I was like, it needs to be like music oriented and music driven. And since we had that mindset writing, now we can walk on stage as an instrumental 2-piece and blow people's minds. And the great thing is, it's only going to get better. As we add more musicians, the live show's going to get better. It's going to sound better. As we get a good vocalist, it's going to keep going up. And then we'll get to a big touring level. And then we'll have, stage production. We'll have lights. We'll have pyro. Things will just keep building and keep getting better. And I think that's a cool prospect to think about.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I was just going to say, it's, we thought about, or we were waiting for a while to find other band members, specifically a vocalist, before we started playing our material live. But since we have played our material live, it seems like it's only gotten better and more solid, and we've tweaked some things. So, like you were saying about the core of it, I think it's in a pretty really good solid place right now between the two of us, and it's just a great place to build from.
Like I was going to ask, have you guys seen a pushback from just being instrumentalists?
Not that anybody has said to our face.
And people behind our backs.
People might think it sucks, but
from seeing the crowds while you guys are playing, I don't think anybody really thinks you suck. I hadn't seen anybody walk out of you guys playing before.
That's good.
I do think it's different than people expect. So maybe it may take them a little bit to figure out, okay, this is what they're doing. Oh, okay, now I like it. Now, because I'm not waiting for the dude to jump up on stage with his mic stand,
But let's see. Who's your favorite band that you guys have played with so far? I'll probably get back to asking you more questions about the music and the lyrics and all of that, but I really want to know, like, you guys have played with, like we said, just kind of a random just sampling of bands.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Who's your favorite band that you guys have played with, whether that be their music or the energy they brought or just interactions with them off stage?
All of those reasons combined, it is Red Handed Denial. We played the show that you came and saw us at the Cloud Springs Deli in Ringgold. They were the first band that we've ever shared a bill with that just acted absolutely 100% professional the entire night. They came in, they sat up, they had their merch set up, they made sure to talk to the bands, to talk to the crowd, and I was like, wow. And then they got on stage and they sounded amazing. They performed well. They were really tight.
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to lie. After that show, I kind of became obsessed with the Red Handed Denial. I still listen to them a lot.
They're really good, and they're the first band that we've played with where they sounded just as good live as they did on their album.
And they're another band like you guys that they have a large variety of music that they can play with different people.
Mm-hmm.
And Lauren Babick specifically, she can, go and she's got a pop hit that came out. She's got, Red Handed Denial where she's screaming her lungs out just like any guy. And it's great to see, bands that just can flow, that don't stick to, this is our one sound, this is what makes us us. It's, let's see what we are. Let's see what we can play, and let's see what we can't play.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of, a good musicianship to get comfortable with, doing different things like that, maybe doing some different expressions of what you can come up together.
Caleb, you can say you got to pee.
No, I wanted to be secret. My bladder is tiny.
Sorry, Ben.
I don't believe I would have told that.
Sorry.
I forget.
Oh.
Oh yeah, so yeah, they were awesome to play with, great to hang out with, really nice people, and especially for us at that point, pretty no name, pretty small. Only had a couple of people there to support us, and they were just really nice to us, and they talked to us about all their gear and there's like one of the guitarists let me play his guitar that he had just played, and
they didn't hate me too much for knocking over their drum set.
oh no.
Yeah, did you know that happened?
I did not know that happened.
I was helping Caleb set up his drum set, and I was walking by, and somebody bumped into me, and next thing you know, in slow motion, a stack of drums just started falling over, and like people were looking at me and giving me dirty looks as it was falling over, and my hands was full, and I was trying. I'm like, help. But nobody, like I said, I got a few dirty looks, but I don't think any of them were actually from Red Handed Denial. The drummer was just like, it's okay, man, nothing's broken, it's fine. And I gotta officially apologize to him still.
Yeah. They were awesome.
They're very good.
Yeah, we've had some other really cool bands like that. A decently similar band, Carnivore. Another
Carnivora.
I'm sorry. Another fantastic chick lead singer, screamer, vocalist. They were also very good. Some bands you can tell that they love what they do, and they really get into it, and they're really good at it, and it's just a really good combination to be playing with.
For sure.
So I ask this to any band that I have on. Now, you guys obviously got some favorite songs that you play.
Yes.
What's your favorite song that you've written to play?
Dark Tower.
Dark Tower?
Dark Tower, not only is it my favorite song to play live, it's my favorite song we've written so far. It was a joy to write, but it's a joy to play live. There's so many elements to it. There's slow, then fast, there's heavy, then there's quiet. There's a lot of complicated time signatures, so it keeps you on your toes. And it's over 10 minutes long. It's almost an 11-minute song. So, and we always play it as the last song of the show. So it's kind of like the sprint at the end of a race where you're putting the rest of all the energy you have into your playing and your headbanging and everything.
Everything you got left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
And so it's fun.
Yeah, that one's very fun to play live because, like Caleb said, there's so many different parts to it that, I don't know, it sort of like brings people in because there's slower melodic parts that people just kind of like, sway a little bit to, and then there's some pretty head-banging parts and things like that.
Like 1 second, it's like, okay, this is kind of cool. You're just, bobbing your head to it. Next thing you know, Ben is playing with both hands going up the neck of his guitar, and you're just like, oh, heck yeah. Just start losing it.
That song, like Caleb said, that song also has a lot of fun time signature changes, and it's really fun to get people who are grooving along with it and like moving their body or maybe banging their head to like catch them with an odd measure that has a different beat, and then they get lost for a second, and then they come back in. That's fun to watch.
Very fun.
Yeah. Awesome. Mind's Eye is very fun to play as well. It's a shorter song for us, at least. It's only 4.5 minutes, but it's got a lot of heavy hitting in it, so it's a fun one to play.
And what about your least favorite song to play that you have written?
So it was
because every band's got a song that they just wish would kind of nobody would talk about.
Well, so it's not on the set list anymore, but it used to be on our set list. A song called Voiceless, and it's a good song, but I think it's a song that would be much more powerful once we get a vocalist. And so it's a song we'll bring back probably when we get a singer. but it just didn't have as much punch and as much just raw, I don't know, delicious instrumentation.
Delicious instrumentation.
Yes.
If you could describe Tempus in 2 words, it would be delicious instrumentation.
Yes.
I can get down with that.
that sounds about right. Yeah, so Voiceless is probably was my least favorite track to play, and so that's why we don't play it anymore. It was kind of a group decision.
Yeah,
I think.
And it's a little more standard verse chorus kind of format, and I think it will definitely benefit from some really good vocals on top of it, and that'll really make it something that'll stick around. But right now, it's not fitting what we're doing as much.
And do you guys only play your own music, or are there any covers that you like? Like, what's your favorite song outside of your own music to play? Because, I can play very little guitar. I picked it up the other day, and I just have lost anything that I did have. No more. But I can still play the lead to Kingdom Hearts Simple and Clean. And that was always my favorite thing to play. Not only because I liked the music, because it brought back good memories of this video game that helped get me through middle school, but it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite songs to play, like, when you're not being Tempus? And is there any songs that you guys have talked about maybe doing a cover of?
So we have kind of 2 covers. We have one cover and then one medley cover.
Medley.
You want to talk about the cover and I'll talk about the Metallica thing.
Sure. All right. So we have a cover we're playing pretty regularly. It's called, we call it The Elf King. And it's from a German song called Der König.
I'm assuming that means the Elf King.
It does, yes. And it's, I don't remember the exact year. It was the 1840s, I believe, written by Franz Schubert. And it's, back then it was actually a really big deal because it was one of the first actual songs that were made, because back then you had symphonies, and then you would have a little bit of folk music, but the big music was like symphonies or like string quartet sort of things. But then this song was specifically a singer and a piano accompanying for a certain amount of time, and usually about 4 or 5 minutes, and it really started the song genre. And that morphed into what we would think of today as a song versus a concert, a concerto, or some bigger piece of music.
Yeah, I remember when I'd first moved up to Tennessee, so we were just starting to kind of practice more and stuff. Ben was like, "Oh, you got to hear this cool song that I heard about in German class or music class or something when he was in school." So I listened to it, and it was really cool because it was just a piano and a singer, and he was obviously singing in German, so it was cool. But the music video that was accompanying it, that I guess somebody made, was really cool, and it was kind of Tim Burton creepy feeling, and I was like, man, this could turn into a really cool metal song. I think we could cover this. So Ben, in all his glorious musical wisdom, got the sheet music for it and transposed sheet music into guitar riffs and how you would play something that requires 10 fingers. You would take it and turn it into something that you can play with the 4 fingers on the neck of the guitar and turn it into riffs and stuff. And so that one's actually really fun to play. I enjoyed playing it live, but that's our one actual cover that will be on our first record and stuff. And then we also do a Metallica kind of medley mashup, and we usually tag it to the end of the show if we have time, if we haven't gone over. Because it's about 4 minutes, but it's pretty much a bunch of pieces of different Metallica songs all put into kind of one 4-minute song. You got clips from Master Puppets, Creeping Death, there's stuff from and Justice for All.
One was one of the first songs that I ever attempted to try to learn on guitar.
That's a me too. Like that's
one of the
it's an excellent place to
starters.
start. Yeah.
As far as stuff that we play like individually, like practicing stuff that I enjoy, just sitting on a kit and playing.
Sitting on a kitten.
Kit. But
and
pretty much anything. Geez, Steven, we're trying to record a podcast.
I'm sorry. Okay? Allergies.
But anything Avenged Sevenfold, because that's kind of my go-to drum and music. That's where I get a lot of my inspiration to drum from. But also, recently especially, I've been learning a lot of Dream Theater music because that's music that makes me have to think when I learn it. It's really complicated stuff that sometimes I'll have to look up YouTube videos and watch other drummers play it to be like, what exactly is he playing here? And that's helped me kind of expand my abilities while being able to play music that I like. So I kind of play mostly like Avenged Sevenfold or Dream Theater if I have a chance to sit down
yeah,
and play.
definitely playing, trying to play Dream Theater songs because, like Caleb said, it's a really good way to stretch yourself, especially with bands that are as fantastic as that. Trying to keep up with what they've got going on is just, it's really fun when you get it, and then, it helps you grow. I like playing, I play some Metallica stuff. I like playing Gojira, like heavy modern, like progressive metal bands like that. That's really good fun too. There's a lot of riffs and chuggy stuff.
Chuggy.
I've got a question for Caleb specifically, because Ben, I understand. I can't play guitar well, like I've just said, but I can understand how to play guitar and how to learn to play a song. I can read tabs, which is like a numerical. How would you describe it? Like
It's like sheet music that is made for that is specially made for the guitar, and it makes a lot more sense.
and it looks like a guitar's frets and strings, and I understand chords, but Caleb, I don't understand. How do you learn to play a song on drums?
You listen to it. Drumming is all the drumming I've done in my life was all learned by ear. There's people make sheet music for drums and stuff, and I can read drumming sheet music, but I can't read it fast enough to make it worthwhile as opposed to like just listening to the song real quick and knowing what's going on.
And that's a talent in itself, being able to play by ear.
Yeah. But it's a lot different than playing by ear.
I could never even tune by ear.
But like when I play by ear on drums, there's no question about like what's being played as far as what he's hitting. Like you can tell whether he's hitting the hi-hat or the snare or the kick, and it's not like, is that an E or is that like a G sharp? Like you don't have to wonder because like you can hear it. Because I
Ben
can't,
and I chuckled at that.
Well,
but what I gotta say is,
what I mean is that like if
Is
some
that?
like if you weren't looking and I had your guitar right now and I played a note, you could have a guess as to what that note is, but you would probably not be correct if you couldn't see my hand positions. But if you sat down behind a drum kit and you hit a drum just by hearing, I'd know exactly what drum you're hitting without having to be like, what is that?
right? Ben and I chuckled, but like I can't tell you, I can't point out the pieces of a drum set. You can say snare, and I can't point to what it is.
It's not because sometimes it seems like it's not like you're playing different things on one instrument. It's like you're playing a lot of different instruments, and so each piece has its own tonal qualities that you can.
Right, yeah. So yeah,
it's just like it's second nature to you. You've been doing it so long that it's just the drum set is a part of you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun watching you play when you guys do shows because you're headbanging. You've got both of you have long millennial hair, and
you meant magnificent.
But Caleb, Ben, he's got his hair like parted like Prince Caspian out to the sides, while he's playing.
Thank you.
But Caleb,
I'll take that.
you're not even looking at what you're doing. Your hair, you look like Cousin It up there drumming.
Or Hagrid. And you just have no clue where you're looking, but you're able to play every note, every beat. You've got it without your eyes.
Yeah, I don't. If somebody put a gun to my head and was like, you have to lose like 1 sense or I will shoot you or something, I'd let them take my vision because I don't have to have it to drum. Like, it's super helpful. I like not being able to see what's up. But I can perform on a drum kit, especially if it's my drum kit that I'm used to playing, without actually having to look at what I'm hitting, just because I've been doing it for so long. And there kind of comes a point, like when you're learning drums, where you're like, all right, so I want to start bobbing my head more and moving. And you're like, well, I'm going to risk not being able to see. So you have to kind of balance that out until you don't have to see. And then you can have full range of motion with your head and neck, I guess.
Yeah, it's important to stretch, though.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way, but now I know stretch the neck before and after the show.
Yep.
So, how much can you guys talk about the future of Tempus, like the foreseeable future?
It is glorious, and we will both be rich and famous.
That's right. Warner Brothers won't let us say a lot more than that, but that's pretty much that's pretty much what we know so far. No, I mean the future's pretty wide open. We don't know exactly what's going to work out. We're not signed to a label, so there's nothing that we have to like legally keep under wraps. We're not in the studio. So there's nothing that we have to like hide. So yeah, we're playing and we won't stop playing and we'll just keep on going. Whatever happens.
Won't stop playing and won't stop creating.
Yeah,
we still throw riffs at each other and bounce things off of each other and like, oh, this sounds really cool, and then now we have another song.
I wish
on
I
accident.
Bummer.
I wish I could sit in on you guys creating a song, because I know Caleb and we used to come up with these plays back in the day, and we would be running back and forth on the top of tables shouting out different stuff to each other. And I just imagine that it's the same energy, but you guys have your instruments behind you.
Right, so pretty much. So it's the same amount of excitement. Like, you think of something, you're like, ooh, that'd be really tasty, and you kind of fuddle through it for the first time. You're like, oh, that was good. I think this will be
very tasty,
really good.
Delicious instrumentation.
There it is.
Delicious instrumentation. But it's funny, I've played in a lot of different bands, but I've never had to like really pay attention to what I was playing so I can make sure to play it the exact same way the second time, because usually I'm playing simple stuff and I can remember it for the second time. But when we were writing, I would have like pages of notebook paper sitting everywhere because so I could write everything down, so I could remember, how many measures of this time signature, and then like whether it's going like the energy's going up or if we're getting quiet or what, or I would have to write down like certain patterns that I was playing because they were weird and I wasn't going to remember them. And there were times where we've had to like write out time signatures and argue about like when the time signature needs to do something specific. And
yeah, is it a bar of 7, 8, 3, and then 4, or is it 4 and then 3?
Right, and like where are we putting essentially the enunciation of the measure, and so it's fun and it's different, and since we're not like writing anymore because we have 9 songs written, so we're not focusing on writing. We still try to, every time we practice, spend some time just jamming and just letting kind of the creative juices flow. And we'll usually pick a couple different time signatures and throw them together and say, this is what we'll play. So we'll play that set of time signatures over and over again. And then Ben will come up with something cool and be like, oh, well,
He'll come up with a tasty lick.
The tastiest of licks. And he'll be like, oh, let's, do this here. And then I'll be like, oh, what if we like stopped here and then we came in like a beat and a half later?
Do the hits only on 2.
Or what if we take this time signature and we turn to a triplet?
So just imagine with me here. future merch, a shirt that says Tempus, and there's 2 different variations of this shirt. One of them has Ben's face right under it. Like, it both says Tempus on, like, the where you'd hold your hand over your heart. That side, I'm bad with right and left.
Heart side.
The heart side says Tempest, and one has Caleb's face. One has Ben's face. Caleb's face, the back of the shirt says Delicious Instrumentation. And the back of Ben's shirt says Tastiest of Licks. That's what I'm seeing for the future of Tempest merch.
And then we could make a cookbook.
Right.
The Tastiest of Licks.
The Tastiest of Licks.
Sounds like candy or something. Tempest lollipops. The Tastiest of Licks.
A 1, a 2, a 3. Crunch.
That's pretty much how we write.
Tastiest of Licks.
1, 2, 3, crunch. That's how we start all our songs.
But so, do you guys have any plugs, like websites or anything like that? Facebook, Instagram, that you'd like to throw out?
Yes, our Facebook page, if you search Tempus, which is Tempus, you should see it pop up. I think it's facebook.com/Tempus Plays, and that's our Instagram handle as well.
Tempus Plays.
Yep.
Tempus. There's no T at the end.
That's right.
And
It's
also,
Tempest.
despite the logo looking like a V, it's spelled Tempus. Tempus.
Yeah, so
That's correct, Stir.
There's 2 confusions about our name. The first confusion is that it's spelled with a V instead of a U. That's not true. We did it for our logo because back in the day, they used the V on printing presses. They used the V for the V and for the U.
Yeah, it's a Roman lettering.
I really thought you guys were just ripping off Paris.
No.
Paris doesn't have a U at all.
No, there's a band called...
P-A-R-U-S. Paris.
There's a band called Paris that has a V in it.
Yeah.
I don't know where the V
Where do you put
comes
the
in.
V in Paris?
Don't ask me. It's been a while.
So it's either, people think that they spell it with a V, which doesn't make sense.
Tempus.
Or
Tempus.
they think that the word is tempest. Like a storm, a tempest. The word is tempus.
What is a tempus?
It's the Latin word for time.
Oh.
Yes. Tempus.
That's
Tempus.
one question I meant to ask you guys. Is
Not-
what in the world does your name mean?
I think that's where the root for where we get words like tempo,
Mm-hmm.
and things like that.
So
Okay.
for kind of you can relate it to like music and stuff. The way that English has used variations of the word or the root word for like tempo and stuff. So
yeah, and it means time. We do a lot of stuff that we find fun with time signatures and timings and things like that in our music. And
also the other cool names were taken.
that's right.
That's the moral of the story.
How many names did you guys go through before?
Just one.
Third reason.
Nope. Other band.
Oh, we were calling ourselves Requiem for a little bit because we thought it was really cool. Well, it still is really cool, but then there were some other bands that had that.
So
We
disappointing.
thought it'd be hard to distinguish ourselves from other bands that had the exact same name.
Like I know Jax Anderson, who does our outro, she went through like 5 different names before just saying, "Hey, my name's Jax Anderson."
Power, Flint Eastwood, all that good stuff.
All that good stuff. You guys
Apple trees
actually,
and tangerines.
you guys actually used to play with Jax Anderson back in the day, isn't that right?
Yep.
I
I
played with
didn't-
her one time.
I
Oh,
didn't
really?
as much. I was kind of coming in to playing in the youth when she was leaving. I think our older brother Ryan, who played drums at church, I think he played a lot more with her.
Yeah, I played with Jax a lot. She was very helpful for the youth band at the time because she sort of whipped us into shape and made us practice and learn a bunch of different stuff, and I'm much better for it.
She made me the greatest light guy there was. I gave a kid a seizure in a kid's church.
We were doing something the other day, and I was like, man, I feel like Stephen Irvin on a Wednesday night in 2012. I don't remember what I was doing, but...
Dude, I was like an octopus out there running the lights and the lyrics and everything all at one time. But, you know, it's great to see how far you guys have come from there. It's great to see how far you guys are reaching for the future. And it's just great to have you guys on the show. I'm glad, you know, like I said, we've been talking about it forever.
Finally got it.
I've had Caleb on. I've been excited to have Ben on. Maybe we can have Ben on a solo one day. Get a little more of the backstory of who the Ben is. You know, figure out a nickname for him other than Ben. Just get a little behind the scenes of Tempus into the real lives of you guys.
Very dull and boring outside of music.
Well, no, Caleb, you're one of our fan favorites.
Am I, though?
Ben might be the next.
I think you only say that so that way you can keep having me on and keep calling me the Fat Pirate, but I can't go anywhere because you're a fan favorite.
You guys could have a fight on the show. There actually has been one fight so far on the show.
Really?
Sadly, we didn't have a camera, but I did have my butt handed to me.
By William Berry.
Yeah. Man.
I don't know what you call him on the podcast.
Did he peek at those presents?
William Vinnie Johnson Douglas.
That's what I thought.
And yes, he did peek at those presents. But as always, you can check us out on Anchor, Spotify. I mean, you know how to get a hold of us if you're listening now. Check out our website, confoundmillennial.wixsite.com, and get a hold of us on Facebook and Instagram, the Confound Millennial. Easy enough to find. And, you know, hit us up. Let us know who you'd like to have on next. And we'll do our dangdest to bring that to you. Do you guys have any closing statements you'd like to say?
Listen to our music. Support local bands. Right. Support this specific local band.
Facebook.com/Tempus Plays. Instagram.
Soon to be on SoundCloud.
That's right.
Buy our music. Or illegally download it. I don't really care.
We got some merch we're working on. It'll be up on our Facebook page whenever, as soon as we get that stuff finished, so you guys can peek at that.
All right. And, you know, as always, this has been the Confound Millennial, starring Steven Sturvin Michaels and featuring Caleb and Ben Sosebee of Tempus. And check out these tasty licks and delicious instrumentation y'all have provided for us as we close this out.
I'm tired of these confound millennials.